I did not grow up with firearms as a hobby. I grew up in liberal Massachusetts, although I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, because ultimately it's our last, as a last resort, it's a last defense against, a corrupt, or a government that's turned on its own people. And, but on a much more practical level here in Albuquerque today, we have a situation whereby your life is in your own hands all the time, and the police aren't responsive, and there is just these school shootings would not happen if we had qualified teachers that knew how to shoot back. And it's appalling that we have to even discuss it, but it's the reality. And I think that
and it's kind of a horrible thing. It's a horrible scenario to have to think about.
It absolutely
but the fact
is.
Of the matter
but you're
is
a sitting duck.
Nobody thinks about
you are
it
a sitting
until
duck.
after it happens.
A gun-free zone is just an invitation to some wacko to come in and wreak havoc. And if the teachers were properly trained and properly armed, the punks wouldn't give you as much of a hard time at school. And if anybody some maniac did break into the school and try to cause havoc, they may get one or two shots off, and then they're going to get taken down. And so I think it's I don't think it's really in today's world a bad idea to consider. Although I would never just make a hasty policy without really seriously working out the details. So it's and as regard to the English language business you were asking me about earlier, it's I once had a high school teacher tell me that he hates to see when any language is lost, because language is languages are the pedigree of nations, and it's very important to understand other cultures of the world, and what their place has been in world history, and how their cultures and their languages have contributed to the state of civilization today. But fundamentally, a nation state is defined by its language, and we cannot run a country if we cannot speak the same language. And English needs to be understood by everybody. It needs to be understood very clearly. Everything else is a sideshow. We cannot. It doesn't bother me if a private business wants to, offer bilingual services to its customers. But as a government, we cannot do that. We must speak the same language. We cannot run a country any other way. So, and that's the way I feel about it.
I mean, as a teacher, that poses some problems, right? Because how would you then accommodate parents who are monolingual speakers of a language other than English, right? Say you have parents who are Vietnamese speakers, they show up for a parent-teacher conference. I mean,
it's a good question, but I mean, what are you going to have? There's 100 and some odd languages around the world being spoken today. You're going to have translators for every one of them. Right. I mean, it's these aren't easy problems. But one thing I would like to ask is, what did we do generations ago? We had millions of Italians coming into the country, millions of Irish speaking Gaelic, or at least from the part of the country where my family was from.
Are you guys from the east?
Western Ireland, southwestern Ireland.
Okay.
You had, multitudes of Chinese people coming over in the late 1800s to work on the railroads and whatnot, and work out west, and they all managed to figure it out without these government subsidies, stringing people along, preventing them from an immersion into the culture. So it's important that coaching is provided when needed, but we cannot do it to an extent that we're slowing down the English language learning process.
And then I was curious about, because you're from Massachusetts, right?
Right.
Originally,
and
yes. Then what brought you? Was it work that brought you here?
Oh, sure.
And I'm just curious about similarities and differences between what you've seen with educational systems and culture, just between these two states.
There's enormous differences between the states. I think, long story short, I was born and raised in the Boston area. I got my first job out of school in Chicago, spent 8 years there. Met my wife there. We then spent 8 years in Arizona. When I was in graduate school, I spent a couple of years up in the Portland, Oregon area, and found my my dream job for my day career at Sandia National Laboratories, and that's what brought us to Albuquerque. And we absolutely love it here. It's our permanent home now. Our kids go to school here. We've gotten involved in the community here since we've been here, and finally we're done with moving around, and we're looking forward to a lifetime stay here. So it's been an amazing place. And we've personally been very pleased with the schools our children are in. I won't say the names at the moment, but it is an APS public school, and we've had nothing but good success with the school, although unfortunately that's not the case for all the students here. And we need to do a much better job for this system in general, for APS in general.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.